Hey everybody, Andrew at Pew Brothers. Today, after a lot of promises from me, a lot of waiting on your part and patience, today we're finally getting the pantry video out. Now, for those of you that didn't watch the previous videos, let me give you a brief synopsis. My wife and I were expecting, and he's upstairs sleeping now, mom and baby are both good. We were expecting our first child and we realized we needed more shelving space. We had two freestanding shelving units in there, and we just knew the room had a lot more potential that just needed to be unlocked. So we decided to go with a closet mate adjustable shelving tracking, an adjustable track shelving system, I knew how to get it right, and install that in the room. Now, fast forward to present day, we're very excited we did that, and you'll see the rest of it in the video. So this video is going to be broke up into a couple parts. First, I'm going to show you some before shots into the disarray that existed when the two shelving units were there, all the wasted space. Number two, I'm going to talk to you about the install, the materials required to do this, both on the tool side and the materials that I purchased for the shelving system that's in there now. Number three, we're going to do a cost breakdown. And lastly, at number four, we're going to do a walkthrough and look at the new shelving system that's in there and essentially hold the before to the after and see the improvements that were made there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the video.
All right, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out there's a lot of wasted space here. This first frame, you can already see space on both the left and the right of the shelves. I point out right here that you can see that, this is just a blank void. Another thing that I think you might pick up on fairly easy is that though some things like my Jiffy Mix and Jello pudding are stacked over here beside my canned chicken, you get over here towards my beans and it's just more or less stuff stacked together. Everything's in a disarray, not really much organization, just stuff kind of laying up on a shelf. Everything is commingled. That's what I was setting out to fix. This is my foundation. We can only go up from here.
All right, so this is the first phase of the project. This floor space here is my living room. I have a cart that my wife and I use for various outings, and I'm gonna load this up with the contents of the pantry. I'm gonna try to organize it in this floor space here. And when the time comes, I'll put it back in. But for a single man job, I'm gonna try to take this, load up all the stuff, lessen my trips around here, and get this done fairly quickly. First haul is complete. Surprisingly enough, it was also equal to my top shelf. Not quite certain how many more trips I have of this, but I got a feeling it's going to be somewhat of a task.
After all the product had been removed, I went ahead and removed one of the shelves and finally said goodbye to this last one. A little bit of sweeping and we're ready to start construction. Super quick trip to my local hardware store, that being Lowe's. Don't worry, I'll make sure I enumerate everything in the cost breakdown. This project is fairly basic as it pertains to tools. I have an impact driver with a Phillips head attachment. I have a speed square, a level, a stud finder, measuring tape, a pencil, and the screws here, I shared the wrong box. I did start out with these number 10s at 1.5 inches, but I quickly found out that I needed a larger screw and also needed more depth to get through the standards. So I changed over to a number 14 and 3-inch. All right, you're going to see I'm here with my stud finder, just double checking myself. Just above that stud finder, you'll see a very faint pencil line that I've already drawn, kind of doing my homework ahead of time to make sure that everything's in place. I've marked on the wall where my studs are at, and I'm going to take that hanging track right now and go ahead and get that installed. I'm going to get it lined up to where I've already marked those studs at, and I'm going to go ahead and get it lined up where I have those studs marked at. You don't have to purchase this hanging track, but I will say it made this project exponentially faster, especially for someone of my skill level, which is bare minimum at best. It made this a lot easier to ensure that the project was level and that the standards that you'll see me install here in a second were on track. Another thing that I can't stress enough about this entire project, make sure that you're using your level when you're installing new components. I've used it several times here on the hanging track, and I used it every single time I drove a screw while installing the standards.
All right, let's get back to putting these standards up. And before I do that, before I jump back there, so right here is a lip that goes inside the standard up here, and I'm actually going to grab the camera and see if I can get some focus in there. We have this track here, kind of just bevel it in there, and it will slide wherever you need it to go. Now obviously this here, these standards also screw into the wall, so common sense, I have a stud that's been going through right here, so I'm just going to move that right there and I'll line it up and go from there.
My apologies for not clarifying this earlier in the video. The horizontal bar that runs across the top is the hanging track. Those 4 pieces of metal, those 4 staffs that you see, those 4 supports, those are called standards. That's what the shelves are fixed to. So the hand up top is pointed towards the hanging track and the red arrow towards the standards.
I got a problem I just ran into. I gotta see how I'm going to fix it. Check this out. So I put this one here in, and I came over here and I was like, man, there's a hole there, but it backs up to the railing of that. Now, it's not terribly loose, but I feel like I should throw like a set screw or a self-tapping screw through there. But then I'm gonna have to go through this lip here. Actually, I decided not to go to Lowe's. I'm going to keep powering through with what I did earlier, if I can find it. I'm going to keep running this self-tapping screw through, and then followed up with the same screws that I used to secure the standards to the wall.
Once I started using the self-tapping screw to make a pilot hole through the lip of the hanging track, it was all butter from there.
Let me show you guys what I'm doing. So, it's probably easier if I just actually put this down here. See if I can stay out the light. So these first 3 tabs lock into the standard right here.
And this curved cyclic-like piece on the top is meant to push down and then pull back on to secure the shelf to the bracket.
All right, everybody. So again, bear with me with the echoes. If I need to do a voiceover, I'll do it. My wife came home from work and she noticed something that I didn't notice, and it could have compromised the integrity of the shelves. Now I'm gonna go through and she's gonna hold the camera now that I have 2 sets of hands, and I'm gonna show you what it's supposed to look like, and then I'm gonna show you what I did so you know if you do this, it's wrong. All right, so if we look back here, we got this piece correct last time where we put it behind the tabs. These tabs is what secures the wire shelf in place. But if you'll bring it back over here, honey, I'm going to show you down here how I knew I'd done it wrong. Before we go down there, take note of how the lip of this, get a correct name for this here, bracket support, rides up under the bottom of this leading edge right here. All right, so this is the correct way that it is to be done, and it can be really easy to mess this up. And we're taking a look down here. We haven't corrected, we've created this one. Let's go on down here. You see that this, the bottom of the bracket is kind of just, you know, floating along the bottom of these shelves. Again, I mean, I never really swung on. I was more worried about the standards, but this here could definitely cause some issues. So what we need to do is to remove this shelf and start it angling in from the front and try to come to the back. So if my wife's going to stay there, I'm trying to do it the best I can here. I'm going to kind of just do a little love tap off of each of these. And I have it loose. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of insert it from the front. It's super important that we pick up the back, kind of angle the back of it. And you see this one here slid right in. This is how we want it to look. And we're going to come to each of these and we're just going to adjust the edges to make sure that they line up. This is how it should look. This is how we should be having the supports in there. And this one here really went in like a champ. So all the bracket supports are in line, and we do the same thing we've done with all the others. We reach here to the back. We give them a little bit of a knock and a pull. Sometimes they make a little bit of a pop, sometimes they don't. And the entire shelving system is corrected. So that was a big error to be made on my part, but now you've seen before where the bracket was wobbly. Now it's between these two rails right here, and it's not going to go anywhere. Whereas before it was kind of just, you know, it was locked in here, but it was skirting along the bottom. Very critical lesson to learn today. I could have learned this lesson after everything was already loaded on here and I started seeing my shelves warp or bend or something like that. Maybe it would have been okay, maybe not, but now we know we've got it done the right way. Guys, listen to your wives. They're going to Google it or YouTube it. You're not. Maybe you will. That was a sexist comment. Go you. I can cut corners, but I cannot cut angles. How you like that? So really quick, I did the nerd thing and I did math. So with the two freestanding shelves we had before, we had 5 shelves. Now again, they were freestanding, so the bottom shelf counted as a shelf, whereas now my shelving system is supported by the wall, so I have the ground space that I can use plus the shelving units above it. So let's do some quick math. Before, I had 2 shelves that were 18 inches wide and 45 inches long. Multiplying all that together, I come up with 8,100 square inches. All right, so 8,100 square inches is what I had prior to my new pantry setup. And just by adding the longest wall in my pantry, the back wall, the original wall, I picked up 8,600 inches, 8,640 to be exact. So that wall is, it has shelving set up on 72 inches of it, and those shelves are 20 inches deep. Now in the video, I may leave it in there. I hadn't decided yet. I'm doing final edits. I didn't intend on doing the wall on the shorter wall, but I already kind of had everything going. It just made sense. All right. So one wall is 86 inches long, and the other one was 60. So what I did is I was able to optimize that corner, and together with the long wall at 8640 and the short wall at 4,800, so that is the long wall has 20-inch deep shelves and the short wall has 16-inch deep shelves, again, so it can meet that corner there, and they just kind of overlap. It went really nicely, so I just kind of have a flush surface there so I can shuffle things on that corner to and from the long and short wall. That came out to 13,440 square inches. Now that is a 65.93, almost 66% increase, a 2/3 increase in space from what I had before. All right, so that increase has allowed me to do a lot of things like relocating items that were previously in closets, freeing up those closets for new functions, and really centrally organizing all of my products like my food and my cleaning stuff. All right, is the moment everyone has been waiting for, the cost breakdown. So the way that I'm going to do this, because I have different size brackets and shelving for my 2 walls. Remember, I have one wall that is 20 inches, and I have another one that is 16. We're going to give a cost breakdown on the individual items, and then we'll do a collective grand total for those items. So starting out with the shelves. The shelves for the 6-foot by 20-inch deep shelves, my long wall, those shelves are $40.48 each. Now I had 5 of those, so that comes out to $202.40. If you're wondering why I'm looking off camera, I try to remember a lot for these videos, but I can't do it without my notes. All right, on my short wall, the 16-inch shelves, those shelves are $34.98 a piece, and that came up to a total of $139.92. So again, for the long wall, the 20-inch deep shelves, those are $202.40, and the short shelves, or shorter, the 16 inches, those are $139.92. Collectively for shelving alone, I spent $342.32. Next, the brackets for the 20-inch shelves, those are $12.98 a piece. I had to buy 20 of those for the short wall, and that comes out to $259.60. For the 16-inch wall, those brackets are $9.48 a piece. I had to buy 16 of those, and that comes out to $151.68. For a collective total of brackets, $411.28 in brackets alone. I thought that was kind of high. I mean, that is more than the shelves. Anyway. The hanging track, I called it the header. I called it everything but the right name in the video. It is the track that goes at the very top. It should be called a header, that you groove the standards down on and screw into the wall. I had two 84-inch hanging tracks that I purchased. They were $28.98 a piece. On the shorter wall, I cut it to length, and that brings me out to $57.96 for those two hanging tracks. The standards, again, what the brackets go into, the things that screw to the wall, the things that support the shelves, they're all the same size. They were 84 inches. I had to buy 8 of those. For 8 of those, excuse me, I had to buy 8 of those. They're $23.98 a piece, and that comes out to $191.84. Screws, I used number 14 3-inch wood screws. I used 3 packs of those. They are $6.98 a piece. They came out to $20.94. All right, drum roll please. That brings my grand total to $1,024.34 before taxes. If you're weird like my brother-in-law and counts everything before and after taxes, I'm sorry, Jamie, it needed to be said. After taxes, that's $1,096.04. With my level of capable carpentry skills, we'll call it that, or lack thereof, maybe I should say, I think this here is a good price because I'd have spent more in replacing the lumber that I butchered cutting angles for and stuff. This is good for me. It might not be good for you. If you have an impact drill, a couple levels, and a little bit of time, you can do this. You can do it in your own home. Let me know what you think about the price. Do you think that, hey, this is a good buy, or nah, I could have done it way cheaper? I'm interested to know. I'm interested to see what you guys could have done inside of your pantry. It's like an episode of Cribs. Let me show you my pantry. See Oreo? Oreo's the guardian of the pantry. I'm getting fancy with this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Watch out, big fella. Watch out. Oh. Lord of my mercy, Majida Matrai. Woo. Y'all, I thought I done dropped this camera. Whew. It wasn't hot in here before, but it got mighty warm real quick like. All right, folks. This here is my pantry update. I know you're going to say, man, it is crooked up here at the top. The shelf was like that when I bought it. It holds fairly well. I haven't had any warping or anything. I promise it was like that when I got it. No big deal. Calm down. So I have my cleaning bottles here at the bottom. I have distilled vinegar, some other stuff here at the back. We'll go through kind of like a detail thing in a little bit. I see my wife has thrown some stuff in there. So mostly cleaning products here on the side. Over to the food stuff, I have things I don't use all the time. I don't get paid to say this, but if you hadn't tried this stuff here, yep, it has crack in it. It's pretty good. Guys, I hope you enjoyed our pantry video here at Pew Brothers. We're going to be doing a lot more prepping content and a lot more things around the home. These are just some of my hobbies that I've decided to add to the other content that we create, and I hope you'll sit here and join us. If you haven't subscribed yet, please take a moment to do that and ring the bell so anytime Pew Brothers content comes out, you're the first to know. Thanks for watching. We love you, and as always, play responsibly.